So Graham, you've had a phenomenally successful career. You've sold your business to US giants. You've travelled all over the world. What role has networking played for you in building that career, building the business, and indeed selling it?
A massive role. There were two particularly big things that turned the journey around for me. One, I was going from Washington DC to Honolulu, Hawaii, to actually take part in a big fashion hair event, and I managed to encourage the check-in lady at the airline to bounce me up into first class, and I sat in my seat, and there was a chap right next to me who just said hello, and of course I've got an English accent, and then we got on with our various independent things and had a meal, and then we got chatting again. He goes, so where are you from in England? And I said, well, I'm from Kent, near London. And he said, oh, I'm sometimes over there. He said, I know Sir Geoffrey Patty, one of your MPs. And I said, oh, great. I said, so didn't ask him what he did at the time. And then he got out this leather binder, and on the top it said Iran Gate Hearings. And you try not to look. And a little while later I got chatting, and he said, oh, my name's Bill Cohen. He said, I'm a senator. Have you ever been to the Senate? And I said, well, yeah, I have been. And he said, so when you went, did you have Senate bean soup? I said, no. He said, well, when you get back to Washington, come and meet me, and I'll take you for some bean soup. He said, it's really famous. I said, oh, thanks very much. Anyway, we got chatting away, and that was the end of it. And when I got to Honolulu, I spoke to my US attorney, who was dealing with my first building that I was arranging in Washington for my academy, and I said, oh yeah, I met an interesting chap on the plane, William S. Cohen, senator. I said, but he's the senator for Maine. I'm in Virginia. He went, what? You met who? He said he's a second-term senator. You definitely need to go and get the bean soup. And he said, because when you open your academy, you're going to need a lot of credibility and da-da-da-da-da-da. So, of course, when I sent him a little message and went for Senate bean soup, he took me to the shop and I bought US Senate glasses. Well, my goodness me. We applied for government accreditation of the academy, which was very upscale, beautiful training. We got rejected. It was stunningly horrendous to be rejected. And so I wheeled out the big guns and told Bill Cohen, and he said, you're kidding. A place like you got rejected. Anyway, I don't really want to record on why we got rejected, but suffice to say that the chairman of the commissioners was a nearby competitor. I had no idea. And anyway, we got accredited, and that was amazing. Second thing that happened was before I managed to get accredited, I managed to get a meeting with the Deputy Secretary of State for Education. It took me 6 months to get this meeting, and I walked into the big office at the Department for Education, and the chap there said, oh, I'm the Honourable Charles Cobb. He said, I'm Deputy Secretary for Education. So where are you from in England? I said, Seven Oaks area. And he went, oh, geez, that anywhere near Tunbridge? I said, yeah. He said, my favourite author was at Tunbridge School. He said, E.M. Forster. And anyway, we got chatting away, and I said, well, actually, my son is about to go to Tunbridge School. Really? He said, I'd love to meet your son. If you ever come back to Washington, bring your family. So sure enough, later we went with my family, and he got on well with my son, and letters would arrive from Charles Cobb saying, and on the envelope it was the White House. And he said, dear Roderick, please remember me to your father. As you can see, I'm now working for the president in the West Wing. Please tell your father to come to the president's mess for breakfast, which of course I did. And Charles Cobb was another huge influence in many other ways, bearing in mind that I was in the educational side of post-secondary education. And then the third thing was I was sitting on a plane and going from Houston to Minneapolis, and the guy next to me opened a load of papers, and as I said before, you try not to look, and it said mercantile beauty salons. I thought, so anyway, again, using the correct networking mechanics, which isn't to jump on him, we were talking about his family, my family, Minneapolis, etc. Anyway, it turned out that he was the president of 300 beauty salons, and by the time he left the plane, he gently received my package of credentials and different compliments from Senator Cohen and others. And when I got home to England, I sent a card with the Queen's stamp, never heard a word. Then I sent a Christmas card, never heard a word. And then in March the following year, a guy called me and he went, Mr. Webb, I'm Herschel Robinson, I'm Director of Education for Mercantile Beauty Schools. I gather you met our president. I said, yeah. He said, would you bring your team to our national conference in Cincinnati and do a big hairdressing demonstration and tell us a bit about how you run your UK business? Anyway, short version, we did. And we took, at the time, Margaret Thatcher was popular, and we had made cardboard cutout Margaret Thatchers. So in our hair show, we had all these dancers dancing. There was 10 Margaret Thatchers, and so they never forgot us. And at the end of that show, he said to me, Mr. Webb, before the conference ends, I'd like to announce that you're bringing your team to all 300 of our stores across Canada and the US to do in-salon education. Could you quote me by tomorrow morning? And then I'd like you to announce it if we can strike a deal. So in the end, I'm talking to my finance guy in England from there, and we put a price to him and he agreed it. And in the following year, we probably did $500,000 worth of training in the 300 stores. This was entirely through me sitting next to the president on a plane and having the correct method and technique to inspire him to, he thanked me when he got off the plane. And anyway, that's a short version of 3 extraordinary things through bumping into somebody.
Excellent, thank you, Graham.